confusing, right? So my name is Kendra Jarnigan. I'm actually a registered dietitian. I'm also a coach for the Faster Way to Fat Loss program. I don't know if any of you have heard that.
That was my fat loss.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Okay, so I want to start out with just kind of giving you some kind of statistics, because it matters, like it'll impact a little bit more. So the average American consumes, does anyone know this? Anyone know?
No.
152 pounds of sugar a year. Yeah, that's alarming, isn't it?
It's inflation.
Is that the low end?
I'm not sure. We'll just go with average for now. 1 in 3 Americans have pre-diabetes, and here's the shocking thing: 80% don't know it. Okay, and pre-diabetes is classified. I don't remember if it's 90 or 100, but it's at least if your blood sugar level is 100 to at least 120, that's your pre-diabetes level. They keep changing it, so it's around there. So if you ever, you can get little kits like, I can't think of the name, anyway, like a little blood stick kit, and you can check your fasting sugars in the morning, and that can give you a range. Like if you're waking up every morning with it over 100, then you really need to take sugar very seriously. Start figuring out how to decrease it in your diet and things like that. If you're, in the 90s, you still probably have some issues that you need to work on. Ideally, we want it below 90. That's first thing when you wake up in the morning. That's no coffee, no water, anything. First thing when you wake up, that's your truest sense of what your blood sugar level should be in the mornings, okay? So, then I know a lot of you were talking about, sugar, like everything has sugar in it. And yes, a lot of things do have sugar in it. Of course, the two things that should not have sugar in them are protein and fat, okay? And ideally, you want to use protein and fat to help stabilize your blood sugar levels, okay? So, I'll say this a little bit later on, but you don't ever want to have carbs alone. Always have them with a protein or a fat, okay? So a lot of people say, oh, snack on fruit. Well, fruit is wonderful. It gives you fiber in its truest form. Fruit is wonderful. It gives you fiber. It gives you some fructose or some sugar, and some sugar is good for us. Our bodies actually need some. It's just we overload it, okay? That's where we are right now. We're overloading our bodies with sugar, and our liver can't handle it, okay? So, so if you have fruit is good. You still want to have it with some protein, so you could get like a beef stick, some nuts, or a protein or a fat, okay? Always, always, always. All right. Sugar, when it comes into your bloodstream, it's broken down into 2 simple sugars, glucose and fructose. Okay. Fructose can only be metabolized by the liver, and then when it's full, like the liver will store it as glycogen, and it does that in case of emergencies. So like if you're you get into a situation where your blood sugars, maybe dropping a little low or whatever, your liver will take care of you. If it's working properly, it will take care of you, and it will turn that glycogen into glucose, and it will make you feel better, right? So, but the problem is that, like I said before, we overload our liver, okay? And we put too much in it, and it can't keep up. So it can't, your liver is your detoxifying organ. And so it helps to filter and get rid and shoot everything to where it needs to go, okay? That's how your body takes care of that. So then we have to, like if your liver becomes overloaded, then you can also develop, amongst other things, it's called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or it's NAFLD, okay? A lot of people have that right now, and they don't even know it. Like 45% of adults have it, 25% of children have it, okay? It's alarming, isn't it? And so when your body can't, when your body has too much sugar, so this is the reason why sugar is not good for us, okay? And then we'll talk about like the types of sugar and then what you can do instead. You can have metabolic disorders, and metabolic disorders are hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, hyperlipidemia. You may have heard all those, kinds of things. Obesity is in there as well. Sugar also disrupts the microbiome. So, and your gut is like your second brain, and your microbiome is in your gut, okay? And when sugar goes in there, it feeds the bad bacteria, okay? And then if your gut's not working properly, that goes into a whole other stream of things like hormones and hormone disruption and things like that when you have too much bad bacteria and things like that in your gut. And then Alzheimer's and dementia is, they're actually kind of talking about it being the new type 3 diabetes. And again, it relates back to the sugar intake. And then also, sugar can really affect your immune system. So it can cause a weakness in your immune response. Right now it's like, definitely cold and flu season, so the lower you go on sugar, the better your body will help to fight off those kinds of things. And then lastly, sugar dehydrates. So, if you're working out and you're sweating, or you're even working outside doing yard work and things like that, maybe going in and having some lemonade probably isn't the best thing for you because it's full of sugar, or having a soda, it's full of sugar. So, obviously water is best, and then if you are sweating a lot, you want to replace those electrolytes, okay? Because one of the number one nutrients of deficiency right now for just about everyone is magnesium. And so if you start replacing those electrolytes, then you can kind of help build that up a little bit. But definitely making sure, and sometimes we just need more than water. Sometimes we need the salt and the potassium and the magnesium and things like that in our bodies to put it back in there. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So then where do we begin eliminating sugar from our diet? I actually have a handout that has a list of, it's a small list, but of sugars to look out for. The biggest culprit of sugars is in our processed foods and drinks, okay? And so learning to identify those sugars on labels is huge. And so one of the first things you should do is start reading your labels. Go home, look in your pantry, look at this list that I've got for you. Start identifying any kinds of sugars in your foods, okay? And part of it is just knowing, okay? Beginning to train your mind to first look for the sugar, okay? And then knowing whether it's okay to have a small amount, or and just learning to make those decisions. That's behavior change, and behavior change is what is ideal when you're beginning to do anything, because that's what will help you over time. Doing something for a quick fix doesn't work, right? We've all heard that. So sugar obviously is, I think some of us have mentioned it before, it's in condiments, so ketchup, barbecue sauce is a huge one for sugar, mayonnaise. I found some in some vegetable dip last week. I was like, wow. And salad dressings are a big one. I have gotten to where I make my own salad dressing. I'll make a lot of my own spice mixtures and things like that, just because I know what's going in it if I make it, and it's just better. Um, Obviously, of course, you know, like pastries, candy, you know, breads, things like that are all going to have sugar in it. And you know, like I said, it's not to say that you don't ever want to have sugar again. I mean, that's not the point of this. The point is to be aware of the foods that have sugar in it, and just kind of do like a, maybe even keep a diary for a few days and track like how much things that you eat a day that actually has sugar in it, and kind of see where you are and where to go from there. The best thing that you can do for eating, like for meals and things like that, is something that we call farm to fork, or if it comes from the ground or has a mother, it's okay. That's kind of a famous thing from the Faster Way to Fat Loss that we teach. So, you know, fresh meats, fresh vegetables, and fresh fruits. And those fresh, you know, I talked about the microbiome earlier. The fresh fruits and the fresh vegetables really pack in that fiber and things like that, and it packs in a lot of different kinds of bacteria that are actually good for you. So that's, you know, sometimes we need a reason to eat more fruits and vegetables. There it is. Okay.
When you say fresh, you mean like not frozen?
Frozen's okay.
Okay, because I like to make like go straight to the from market.
No.
Or
No,
frozen.
frozen is okay. Yeah, I have a tendency to do fresh. I don't do a lot of frozen unless it's like in a soup or something like that, but I have a tendency to do more fresh. But frozen is fine. It's not as, it probably actually would be higher than a canned vegetable, because the canned, you know, can sometimes be canned, and the BPA cans, you know, may not be BPA free and stuff like that, and more processing, you know, that sort of thing. So yeah. And then nuts and seeds, make sure you're including nuts and seeds in your diet also for variety. One of the things that I've also started doing just for better bacteria in the gut and whatnot is some sauerkraut. I mean, I grew up on sauerkraut, but you know, for years I'm like, whatever happened to sauerkraut? And it's just kind of coming back a little bit. And you don't have to have a lot. Maybe just a couple of tablespoons. Just put it on as like a condiment on the side of on your plate, you know, for a couple times a week or whatever. Now the kinds of sugars that are okay are stevia and monk fruit, because they're from natural plants, and honey is okay, molasses if you're cooking and things like that, honey, molasses, and maple syrup. And then of course, you know, I mentioned the no naked carbs. So making sure that, you know, anytime you have like fruits, you know, to have some kind of a protein or a fat with that. You know, and condiments too, you can use like a hummus. A hummus is not going to have any sugar in there, and it's going to have, you know, it's made from beans, so it's good. It's a good quality food to have as well. Maybe instead of like a veggie dip that would have some sugar in it. Okay. Anything else? Any questions? Anything else you want me to cover along?
On the maple syrup, I've looked at, because my husband loves it. It's full. I mean, are you talking about the pure maple syrup?
Yes.
Or because a lot of the ones have tons of carbs and sugar.
Yeah. So the first, yeah, and you know, like I said, you know, you can have good carbs. You don't want to go overboard like on the maple syrup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to limit the quantity of that, because it is pure sugar. But you know, like a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons is probably okay. Same thing with honey. Honey is good too, just in small quantities.
So don't
Smaller
smother
your
So that That means your
pancakes.
pancakes that big.
So he pretty much, yeah, won't eat.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Oh, like you
Just
said, that
eat
was
it like
protein
chicken.
and water.
But even if it's natural, your
Yeah,
body
yeah,
knows what
yeah.
to do with it. That's what I
True.
always
It's
say.
not
Balance with some
processed,
yeah.
protein, like maybe some bacon or some eggs or something like that if you're doing the pancakes and
Yeah.
the syrup kind of thing. You know, some avocado with some honey sprinkled on top drizzled a little bit on top with some salt is a nice little treat too.
Avocado with honey.
Oh, it's delicious.
Never have done that.
And a little bit of nut butter. I used to have it like an avocado toast.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to stay away from gluten just for some health reasons, and so rice cakes work with it too. I've done it on rice cakes. so yeah, good question. But yeah, so like things like milk is going to have it's going to have a natural sugar in it called lactose. So that's the reason why you're going to see carbs in milk. You just want to make sure that it doesn't have any added sugars. Okay, fruit is going to, if you look at a label of fruit, you're going to see that it has sugars in there as well, but it's a natural sugar, it's a fructose. And so when your body, like a piece of fruit, because that's combined with fiber, it's much more slow to digest. And that's what kind of helps maybe not spike your blood sugar so high. And that's really the key overall, is that you want your blood sugar, to maybe go up a little bit at meal times and then come down at a reasonable level and then go back up at a meal time and come back down. What you don't want is you don't want to have like a constant, because some people are grazers or some people like to snack in between meals. So your blood sugar goes up and it goes up and it might come down a little bit, but it goes up. But so it stays high all the time. Your body doesn't have time to process all that if you keep it up. So you want to make sure that you're allowing your body 3 or 4 hours in between a meal. So the key to that is making sure that you eat enough at a meal and you don't eat snack. Okay? And that takes, that's a whole probably other session of meal planning and then prepping and things like that and trying to stick to what you do.
I have a say they sip on their sweet tea.
I'm just saying,
Keeps
if
their-
someone, a friend, someone does, it keeps their,
I think they're doing it better than
Blood
down
sugar up all day long. Yep.
I'll tell her.
Yeah,
Yeah, you tell her, Dawn, I will.
Nutrition labels with the carbs, and then there's the added sugar. What do you look at there? Like,
For added sugars, it kind of depends on what it is. But I would say for added sugars, I would not go above like an 8 or something like that. It kind of depends on what it is. Yeah, because some things can have, like there's this little treat I love. It's coconut rolls. Have anyone seen them? I buy them at Costco. I absolutely love those. They actually have like an organic coconut sugar in them, and so they have, I don't remember how many added sugars it is, but I know the source it's coming from. It's coming from an organic coconut sugar. So I will usually do those like after a meal as like a little sweet treat. Most usually, or I love LaCroix. I had a LaCroix sparkling water. I had a diet soda addiction for, more than 20 years. And finally, it had several steps. Like, I know it was Diet Mountain Dew too. So then I had to switch to like a Diet Dr. Pepper, and then I switched to a Cherry Coke Zero, and then it was like an every other day thing, and I would do the LaCroix in between, and then eventually it just became LaCroix water. That's where I am today. But it took a lot of time. I've been working on that. I worked on that for a couple of years. So, whenever sometimes you could expect too much of yourself too quickly.
try to stay, like, if you wanna try and stay with like, for like, yeah, like, for like, someone with my weight or my frame, do I wanna try and stay with at least maybe 20 grams of sugar and less, or
It's too low.
is that too low?
Yeah, it really depends on body size. It depends on, there's a lot of things that
Cause
depend.
I love my sugar. You know, I am a closet eater, and no one's home, and it's just me and my husband, so.
I'm okay, I'm a bigger, I'm
I just know I do.
So I love my ice cream, I love my candy, and I love my cookies, and I like my protein bar.
And your eyes.
What I
Those
would
are all
start with-
natural, all natural.
Those are all
Made
natural,
with
thank
honey.
goodness.
I
Yes.
would start with, finding some replacements.
That's
And
my protein base.
not all of them. Yeah, well, so I was a huge sugar addict, huge. And I found Fat Bombs. You ever heard of Fat Bombs? That did it for me. Like, if I can have some dark chocolate,
Yeah.
I don't need anything else. It's all good, other than like,
Yeah.
you know, on occasion, sometimes I want a crunch, you know, it just kind of depends on where you are, but, you know, having something, you know, when you're having, well, and then that could be a whole other thing, why are you having the cravings, you know, that sort of thing, so, you know, I would probably start with, making sure that your meals are balanced, and then see how the cravings go.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Would you say that's the key, making sure you have protein?
It's at least definitely a start. Yeah, because the most women undereat in protein. We don't usually get enough. One of the things that I've noticed, if I start my day and it's like all carbs, like if I have oatmeal and like a banana in it or something like that for breakfast, I crave sugar all day long. And that's just something that I've learned about me. But if I start with like eggs and avocado for breakfast, I'm good. You know, I might do something out of habit, like go for some dark chocolate out of habit, but it's not necessarily that I need it or that I'm craving.
Yeah.
I do think it's a habit thing.
Yeah.
Especially for me at night. Like
Oh,
I eat
yeah.
my dinner and I do good all day.
Yeah.
I eat, you know, the protein, I'll have some fruit or lunch, and then
Yeah.
dinner I'll have my balanced meal, and then I'm like, I want,
Yeah.
what do I want now? What do I treat myself? I worked out.
I think I've been good all day.
Exactly.
Now I can treat myself.
Well, and part of that's gonna be intention. You know, doing things with intention, so you know that's your habit.
Right.
So go ahead and just have something that you have approved ahead of time that is, you know, maybe lower sugar, good for you, you know, kind of thing. Go ahead and have that, and then just stop.
Yeah. That's
So
the thing. Like
It's
it
intention.
might not be even bad. Like I might just want peanut butter and
Yeah.
an apple or something,
Mhm.
and I'll eat that. But then I like eat the peanut butter and apple, and then I'm like,
That's
then the
not
peanut
the
butter,
right snack.
then the
It's
peanut butter
corn
jar's there,
It's
and
six
then I'm
of
like,
Spoonful of corn
Same thing.
6 of corn candy. Yeah.
But so it's not like my choices are awful. It's just the amount that I want to eat of the peanut butter.
Yeah.
Like I could just sit and eat the whole jar.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
No.
and then
Well-
it all gets stuck right here.
Yeah, and then you might need to go back to, then you might need to start tracking. Like, you know, using an app for tracking and
Yes.
kind of seeing, you know, were you low in something that day? Were you low in fats? Were you low in protein? You know, and that will help to give you an idea of where you move next. So really still has to be with good intention.
Yeah.
You know, and thinking through those things. Awesome.
Well, I have a question, what, you know, you were talking about with blood sugar, you know, you kind of after a meal, you want it to go down, and, you, like you said, there's, things come out all the time with changes. What are your thoughts about intermittent fasting?
Love it.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah,
Just because you talk about
so
eating
here's
raw
the
and-
trick though.
yeah,
Intermittent fasting works really well, and for one, I mean, and you don't even have to do like a 16-8, you know, so
Okay.
intermittent fasting, you know, can be like a 12-12, a 14-10, 16/8. It can go up to, like, someone might wanna intermittent fast, like, do 2 24-hour fasts back to back, or, you know, something like that. People have different, there's definitely different ideas behind intermittent fasting. Whenever I think of the 12/12, the 14/10, and 16/8, I kind of consider it more time restricted. So if you were to do your time restricted for 12 hours, that does amazing things for your body. And that's the probably where I would start if you haven't done it before. And it might even be, just depending on what's going on with your body, that might be the place where you just need to stay. Because if you go up on the fasting, it could put stress on your body, stress that we don't realize, and so it can wreak havoc with your hormones. So starting with the 12/12 is good, but the key is making sure that you're not eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. That's the most significant thing or change you can make. Don't eat or drink anything with calories.
With calories.
With calories. Yeah, water's fine. I actually have a little bit of tea with, and I think it's sweetened with like some stevia or something like that, and I've not seen that it affects anything in the morning, like as far as my blood sugars or anything. So, but you know, everyone is different.
But it is good.
Cause you were talking about the up and down, which is.
Absolutely, yeah. Starting there, starting with balancing your meals, definitely, you know, because, you know, you might not be able to walk right into just eliminating sugar. But sometimes we need to start on more of a positive note rather than immediately going into the negative response.
Are you familiar with Whole30?
Vaguely.
Okay. They want you to eliminate sugars for 30 days, and so they said after 10 days you would get like this energy boost or whatever. I made it like 23 days. I'm just saying the boost never came.
You're still waiting, huh?
Look, my husband's getting on my nerves. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm having a cup of coffee with some cream and sugar. I don't care. It's like, I'm having it.
Yeah, and there are some
now, but the boost never came. I'm just saying. They say you after 10 days you're gonna get this rush of energy.
Still waiting on the
I'm
stage
just-
thing, still waiting.
Girl, it never, I mean, I did double, it was 23 days, I said, wow.
There are
I'm
some
never
things
getting
that you
that.
can,
I didn't get the boost.
you
I
do
wanted the
want to
boost.
keep.
I'm like, please, I was
Um,
dragging. You don't realize when you eliminate sugar, I mean, it was horrible, I felt horrible.
Yeah.
I
I
had no energy, I was tired, I was sleepy, I was irritable.
Yeah,
It
I
was
was
bad.
emotional. So we just did a 5-day detox in the faster way. Thank you.
That was
Mike,
rough,
will you
it was
do
too much, I think, at one time.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you guys.